Right, so in this video, I'm going to that's how we can create this kind of uh, switch or the device, the typical drawing device. Okay, so I want to open a new drawing. So I will use for my templates. I'm using AutoCAD 2024. I'm going to use ACAD.dwt, even though I'm going to make 3D from it. But I could use any of this ones, doesn't matter which one I use. I can also use any of this. So I'll just use this as a basic common one and open. Okay. So what I want to do, I'll just reduce the size of this so that it doesn't get in my way. Put it here. So I'm using a software called PureRef to keep the reference image in check somewhere on my screen. Okay, and so I make sure my units, I'm using decimals units. So wherever I do 1 inch is to 1 decimal inch. Okay, so I want to start with this so we can see. And one of the most important things is to make sure that you check that you can identify what shapes create the object you're trying to make. Okay, so here I can see that these are circles, right? So probably extruded. These could be lines extruded, this lines, circles. So basically circles and straight lines. Okay, so I'm going to go as easy and as detailed as possible. All right, so I want to change my workspace to 3D workspace. So I could maybe switch this to home tab or um, come in here, go this to 3D modeling so that everything changes. Switch this home so that it gives me these auto uh, gives me this view, a parallel view, like an isometric view. So um, gonna start from here. Okay, so I'll start with the circles here, and start with the first one. We have a diameter of 42, and this is a diameter of 24. So this 64 and 36. So for the first circle, I have a diameter of 42. So I want to go into my circles, look for center diameter. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what points I pick. So I click here and start drawing, and then I type in 42 to get my diameter of 42. Okay, and then I need a line to measure the distance between this circle and the next circle is 100. So I need to use a line to make for that distance. I'm going to shift this away from my coordinates so I don't have an issue in that measurement. So, okay, so I'm going to select a line and I want to draw the line from the center of this circle. Okay, so if you can't get the center of the circle, you could shift and right click to access your snapping with 3D and 3D snaps or your basic snaps. Otherwise, you could come here and make sure that under your old snap sections, so F3, you could turn on what you want. So I want to turn on center for now, okay, and I want to pick the line tool again and locate the center, and you see it there. So I click and I want to draw a line of 100, but this line isn't locked in. I want to make my line locked in. So I'll press F8 or I toggle the auto mode here. Okay, so I have a line that's locked in, and I will make this for 100. I press enter and enter again. So I now have 100. Now the next circle, 64 from the center as diameter. So take the circle tool again, draw from the end of that line, end point, and type in 64. Okay, so now I have these two circles, distances are good enough. And I could now take this circle, this other circle from this center again. I make for 24, okay? And then I trigger the circle command again. I click here and drag for 36. Now, if we have this kind of issue, then you just need to reorder your scene. Just change your scene. Just make a new change. Sometimes things could be funny. So just click yeah, right, 36. Okay, and then it's fine. Okay. All right. So next thing I want to do is draw these lines. So I will use lines, but I will use the tangents of the circles to get those lines. So I'll first of all make sure tangent is selected here. Yes, it is selected. Okay, and take the line tool, and I want to get the tangent of this circle, but right now center is shown. So I can turn off the center so that just the tangent is showing. Okay, and that we have a tangent there. So I click, okay, and from here I click for this tangent and enter. Then I call the line tool again by pressing enter. Click on this tangent, right? And then I select these other points, and there we go. Enter. So right now I have this shape. Okay. Okay, so now I don't really need this line, so I can get selected and delete it. Okay, now to create these extrusions, I have an extrusion of 24, 36 here, and 12 for this part here. But I won't use the extrude tool. The extrude tool will extrude a complete shape. Remember, these are just lines which will extrude a surface, not a solid. So rather, I'll use the press pull. Press pull will be very good for extruding openings, or enclosed areas of multiple shapes. So if I click on press pull, I could come in here and select this and move up to 24. Okay, so right now I can't see what I'm doing, so I'll switch from here to shaded wireframe probably, or shaded gray. Let me use the shaded wireframe. Okay, then I want to press pull again. I'll select this point, to measurement of 12. Okay, and I do for this point as well. Press pull, measurement of 36. Okay, then I escape to come out of press pull mode, and then you see we've gotten the shape here. Okay, so it's very important to make sure you are detailed in your measurements. That's why I work with drawings that have measurement annotations. Right, AutoCAD is a precise drawing tool, so everything you're drawing is not guesswork. You have to actually follow specific measurements, right? Okay, so now I want to get this kind of a wedge thing, and preferably you want to use lines to draw them. We have a wedge shape in AutoCAD, a 3D shape as a wedge, but it won't give me what I want for this. So I'm going to use preferably lines. So looking at the direction of the line, the plane in which the line is working is not on the same drawing plane, because by default AutoCAD has to draw on the X and Y plane. So right now the X and Y plane is down, so if I take a line, it's going to automatically draw flat on the grid here. But I want to draw it on the front plane, so I would want to change my UCS to from my coordinate system to the front plane. So I could do that by clicking on this tab here. So I have front right here. So once I do that, you will notice that the grid has turned around to face the front, you can see the y-axis is now flat here, and the z is 1 point here. Okay, so now I could take my line, and make sure my auto is on. Okay, so I need to be sure of this measurement. What am I drawing exactly? So I have to be sure what I'm drawing exactly. So I'm going to activate the calculator right now so that you could see how I will get, this lines. Okay, so let me escape this first. The calculator tool, I'll just press calculator. AutoCAD has shortcut formulas or anything, so that's calculator there. And then we have a calculator here. So to get the length and the height of this wedge, you can see it has different heights and a specific length. Um, I'm going to measure the length since it stops where the boundaries of the circles are. I'm going to stop the length right here where we have the centers. So I'll use that. So the radius of the big circle, the diameter is 42, so the radius would be half of that, which is 21. For this, the 64, the radius would be half of that, would be 32. So I would minus that from 100. So let's see, 100 minus first one, 21, minus 32. So I'll click enter and have 47. So that will be the length. Now for the height of this point here, see the height, total height of this extrusion is 36, but it's measured from the height of this. So 36 minus 12 will give me this height. So let's see, 36 minus 12, and then I have 24 for that height. And now for this one, obviously I can't really see for that, but you can tell that it is 24 minus 12 will give me the height of this section here. So that will be 12, obviously. So I could just write here 24 minus 12 and 12. So just so that I have the numbers written out here. And this is the width of, or the depth of 12. Okay, so let's measure this now. I check my line tool. Auto mode is turned on. So I just click any point here and go down. So I'm looking for 12. I click enter and then move along this way. I'm looking for 47 for the length. And then I go up again, making sure I'm not going in this direction, I'm going in the Z direction, minus Z. So I'm making sure I'm going up here. So that will be, what's that? 24. Okay, and then I come back and end here. Okay, and then press enter. So I now have that extrusion there. So I need to bring this out, to extrude this out. So I'll still use the press pull, and I'm going to select that point and move in, and the depth is 12. Okay, I get it. Come out of the press pull mode. Okay, so now I could switch this back to wall view. Okay, so we have the device here. I'm going to turn off auto mode, and I want to snap the middle point of this right here. So this will be a tangent as well. So let's make sure that midpoint is turned on. Okay, and tangent is turned on too. Could use quadrants actually. So because that would be a quadrant, sorry, not a tangent. So let's turn that off. Okay. So I want to move this. So I'll click move tool, select the object to move, which is this. Press enter. Now specify midpoint. I want it to be the midpoint there. And then I want to move it to this quadrant. So I'm looking for a quadrant. So that's a quadrant there. So I click and it snapped. If you go around, you can see it snapped correctly, right? Good. All right, so now that done, you see there's still a little bit of a problem. Even though it snaps to the quadrant, you see these other extensions here. So we need to push that into the circle. Okay, so I'm still going to use the press pull. I'm going to select this point and push it in. Right, doesn't matter how deep it gets. And I'll do that for this other side too. This side, I press pull this, push it in. Good. All right, so we have everything locked in now. Okay, that's good. I can escape this. So the other trick is that to make this one object, I will use the Boolean tool to make this the union. I select union and select all these objects to make them one. So let's click this, press enter, and now they are one object. Okay. Okay, so that's half of the work done. I can get rid of this. So press E on the keyboard for eraser and erase these lines and press enter. All right, so I need to get this small intrusion that we have here. Right, so I'm going to draw it on the top of this view here. So I want to switch this to top, okay, so that I could be drawing on the top. So I take my line tool and I want to target the center of this, guys. So I think I remember I turned off my center, so I can turn the center back on, right, and turn my auto mode on. So you can see the center there. So I click there and drag outwards, and I'm not trying to snap to any midpoint or anything, so I just click enter. So I just have a line running across the top here. And next I want to do is I want to create this width here, the same width with this extrusion, this wedge here, so that's 12. So to do that, I will use the offsets, and I will divide that 12 into two, so I can offset on the left and on the right side. So for my distance for the offset, I want to choose 6. Press enter, and then I want to select this object and move that way. For first offset, I select it again, move this way, second offset, right? So now I have that offset, okay? So next thing I want to do is, after that, I want to pick the midpoint from here and draw lines across this. I will need to trim off this and this point. So I can take the trim tool, I trim off this point, and I trim off this point because I want to get these points together. So that's very important to use. That's very important to note. So I'm going to pick the line tool, and I'm targeting this endpoint here. So making sure auto mode is turned on. So I click here. I want to get a point of 4. So I click 4, and then I move in this direction. I want to make sure it's perpendicular to this side. I don't want it to snap here. So I could do shift and right click so that I could get perpendicular so that it snaps to that point. Okay, and then I come back to this end point and click and enter. Okay, so to remove the unwanted objects, I'll just use the eraser tool or press E on the keyboard, and just select the things I don't want. Things like this, or that. So, uh, press enter to move that. I don't want this line. I don't want this line either, so I delete that as well. So I just have this. Okay, now I will use the press pull and go in the opposite direction, and the length is, or the height is 36, so I did 36. Click enter, and that is that. And so now I have that shape completely, and that was that. I know it's kind of tricky, but it works fine. So see it, I'll move it in realistic mode. Then, yeah, because I've created this, this is actually now a nice shape. So it is a great. So you can see separate from the lines there. This is from lines here. So you could decide you want to give it a color. You could give it a color so it's not just dull gray. Okay, so you give it a color. You can double click and change the color of the layer to um, whatever color you like. So if you don't want that, you don't want that. So that's gonna be the way it looks.